Good morning, everybody. Just had to check in again to see how you guys are doing with the do not sync stuff. I know it's getting a little heavy, a little depressing, a little demotivating, or maybe a lot demotivating. And remember, it's kind of the point. I have definitely felt this compelling need to kind of put a lot of harsh truths out into the world because I've been seeing just way, I guess I shouldn't say too many. So who am I to decide what's too many? But a lot more producers, a lot more musicians, and just everybody getting involved and talking about sync licensing. And so the more I hear about people getting into this business, the more I certainly interact with a lot of people that are discovering sync licensing and learning what it's all about for the first time. And boy, do people have a lot of misconceptions about what's really going on here. I think the hype and excitement, because, many other parts of the music industry maybe aren't as lucrative, or seemingly not for all artists. They just see some big sync fees, or they heard somebody talking about something amazing, and they're all on board, and they just want to jump into sync licensing, and they think it's going to be just throw some tracks at it, see what happens, and maybe even throw the same tracks at multiple libraries, and then basically once you get a deal accepted, just walk away, and hopefully it all kind of works out in the long run. And people were going to find out very quickly that doesn't result in much of anything. And hopefully with these Do Not Sync series videos, people can learn that lesson maybe before they waste even a couple of months. I don't even want people wasting 2 months in this industry if they've got the wrong perceptions and the wrong conceptions of what this industry really is all about. So I don't know. It's kind of really an interesting series of videos that I've been doing because I think part of it has been getting some of you guys even more committed to, I think the vast majority of you guys, I think, that have been at least following me for a little while, or you've been kind of devoted to sync licensing for a good amount of time. This has not been very shocking or scary for you. You've just kind of gone, well, I knew that was a part of the business that I wasn't excited about. I guess it's good to be reminded of it, but it's not scaring me away. So that's cool. But I've certainly been getting more and more of very upsetting and discouraged and not happy people that are not happy about me sharing this kind of stuff. And all I can really say to those people is that if a couple of videos on YouTube can talk you out of sync licensing, this probably wasn't the right choice for you anyways, because I'm just a guy in front of a video with a microphone talking. If this is enough to push you out of this industry, you can thank me later. You can be mad at me right now. That's fine. I'll take that. But you'll probably thank me later once you find something that's just a better fit for you, that feels more like it's going to match up with your strengths, your skills, your needs, whatever you want to get out of your music career. Once you find that thing, you're going to feel so much better, so much more relieved and less frustrated. So that's okay. I'm willing to take on a little bit of the heat right now because I think in the long run, those of you that are deciding this is now no longer the right fit for you, or you're teetering on that, you're kind of deciding, making that choice right now. In the long run, I think you'll look back and realize that it was a better move for you to either move away from this side of the business completely, or maybe just downgrade it quite a bit. Because I think some people get the impression that because it's possible, it still is very possible to make this your full-time focus, like full-time income. At least it certainly was for me and many of the people that I've worked in this business with. It might not be, and it might not need to be your full-time focus, okay? And that's okay. You don't have to have full-time income to be successful with sync licensing. Nobody is saying that. I am definitely not saying that. You need to decide how much of your time and energy you want to focus on sync. I've had a couple of people with some great comments on my videos lately say, hey, I've decided that sync is just not the primary focus. I've got a full-time job, which I love, or at least I'm good at it and I'm making good money there. But I do want to stay in touch with music. I still want to be creative. And I don't just want to create something just to throw it around or put it online or keep it on my hard drive. I like that sync kind of keeps me somewhat focused, keeps me moving forward, and I keep making new music as a result of the libraries I work with, the briefs that they sent me, or whatever it is. So they're keeping sync as more of a motivational tool and something to just kind of keep their finger on making music consistently and getting better at it and just enjoying that part of it. And I think you can't really win more than that. Like that's kind of like the best possible scenario. Not for everybody, but for people who fit in that category where sync or making music for this industry is something that becomes more of like a hobby, a passion project that you can do on the side. And you're not putting really any pressure on yourself that you have to make a lot of money or maybe even any money with it, but you just love it, how it challenges you and pushes you and just keeps you in touch with your creative spirit. Like if that's what this is doing for you, that's amazing. That's really, really, really cool. And I applaud you for making that choice. Earlier this year, I had to, as my second daughter was born, I had to make a conscious decision to cancel the Syndicate program. That's something that has been a very intensive part of my Sync My Music platform for many, many years. It was actually one of the first things, I think it was the first kind of group. It was a Facebook group in the beginning, but it was me giving a lot of mentorship, giving a lot of feedback, providing licensing opportunities, giving feedback to everybody that submitted to the licensing opportunities, kind of just more hands-on coaching. And it was really hard for me, but I had to kind of make this decision at the end of last year, starting this year, to say goodbye to that and actually let it go. And, whether or not we bring it back, I still haven't made a decision on that. I'm not thinking that 2024 is going to be the year that it comes back. I'm not going to make any promises or anything right now, but it was really hard to kind of walk away from something that had been a really big focus of mine, had been something that I really spent a lot of time with, and realized that I had to kind of prioritize family for a while because with a newborn, and I already had now she's almost 3, I had a 2-year-old at the time. I knew my life is going to get very busy, very loud, very sleepless. So I needed to cut back on a lot of the sort of intensive parts of my business so that I could focus on what I needed to. So I can certainly relate to those of you that have cut back quite a bit. Maybe sync licensing for a long time was something you were banging your head against and putting a lot of pressure on yourself that you had to make it work and you have to get income and you have to do this, have to do that. And then you realize, whoa, like that's just too much pressure. I really don't need to do that much. I don't need to have those kinds of results that quickly. I can kind of pace myself and reduce my pressure to the point where it feels like it matches my life balance, what I need to focus on, what my priorities are, all that good stuff. So I just want to give you guys all of that, whatever you want, a pat in the back or just like a high five to say, I think that's a great decision. You kind of have to make these choices for yourself based on your obligations, your finances, your family obligations, your responsibilities, all that good stuff. So yeah, it's a tricky decision to make because a lot of times we will look and see other people doing well in this business and we kind of measure ourselves against them, or we're not making as much progress, or we're not getting as many placements as that person. And I know some of you guys might look at me that way and think, well, Jesse's doing this and he got started so early and all these things are working out for him and nothing's working out for me. I know that these kind of comparisons happen all over the place, and they happen. I do it myself. Like it's just, we fall victim to that, especially with social media. Our brains just are not wired and ready to handle social media. So we all kind of just have to deal with that. Hopefully we can kind of measure ourselves against our own progress, right? So rather than measuring how far you're going in your career versus the next person, kind of measure yourself based on, am I making significant progress and sufficient progress so I feel like I'm actually moving forward? So how much have you progressed this year versus last year? Or how about this month versus last month? So you're kind of comparing yourself to your own progress. I think that's a much healthier place to be because your talents and your skills and your ability to pick up new skills or produce music, it's your own process. It shouldn't be compared to somebody else. You have to just really be honest and honoring to your own approach to this industry. So trying to go easy on yourself and not compare yourself to others. Certainly not, like if you're fairly new to the industry, you shouldn't be comparing your placements or what you're doing to somebody like me, who I've been in this industry for 15 years now or something like that. Like that's really not fair. You should not be doing something like that, let alone comparing yourself to somebody who's, in the same boat with you, who's been in the industry maybe just as long as you. All that comparing kind of really, it doesn't really do much for our motivation and our excitement. Don't get me wrong, I'm a very competitive person. I do have a competitive spirit. A lot of times, though, what I have done is I have used the spite and the anger that I had for previous bosses and previous gigs that I really didn't like, and where I had to kind of just bow down and accept my place as the sort of employee or the independent contractor, and I have to kind of be happy and subservient to the boss or the client. And especially early in my career, not so much these days, but earlier in my career, I used a lot of that as my competitive fuel because I wanted to prove these people wrong who thought that maybe I wasn't going to amount to anything or that they had everything figured out and I was just this idiot kid who didn't have any sense of how to succeed in life or in the music industry. So that's where my competitive spirit kind of kicks in. But it's hard though, because I remember in the early stages, I definitely compared myself to a lot of other people in the catalogs that I was with that were sort of my colleagues, my peers. And I was like, man, their tracks sound so much better and they're getting big placements. And that guy just got a huge theme and a huge jingle and he's making so much more money than I am. It's just human nature. We just tend to do that, and it doesn't really help that much at all. So, but just know that if you are struggling with any of that kind of stuff, whether it's the comparing, whether it's deciding, where you want to go in terms of how much sync wants to be your focus, just know that we're all kind of making those decisions. So I'm hoping that this new series helps you guys make some of those clear decisions, whatever they happen to be. So I'm gonna say good morning to some of you guys. Isomatic, still hanging in. Do Not Sync is making me just want to do sync more and create even more music for libraries. Working on an alt mix, on alt mixes right now, starting my next album right after. Very cool. Because I felt like making a very large catalog of unique quality music will override many of the issues found in the industry. Right on. So you figured out a way to kind of like challenge yourself, keep yourself fresh, not get too stagnant. That's really, really good. Hey, Laura, there are many aspects to the music business. Sync licensing is only one. Yes. And there are many negative aspects to the music business. One of my first videos, I think it was the first video I ever put out on my channel, is called The Music Industry Sucks, or The Music Business Sucks. And it's exactly what I'm talking about, is that there's a lot of parts of the music industry that's just terrible and feels unfair. I'm putting that word in quotes. I don't believe in fairness. But, there's a lot of stuff in this industry that's just very challenging. And so it's easy just to kind of give in and forget about it or just give in to defeat and also get bitter and get angry and feel like nobody's giving you a shot and everybody's just screwing you over. I've seen that comment so many times. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it comes from older producers, older musicians who, for one reason or another, feel like, the industry passed them by or somebody didn't give them a shot or a library didn't say yes to them that they felt like they should have been said yes to. And so they get really bitter and angry and upset about it. And it's just kind of like, ugh, I can relate to it because I've felt that way in my industry, my career many times, various times, being rejected, all that kind of stuff, especially in sync. But, in the long run, that basically will repel success away from you. It'll definitely repel successful people away from you. Like, nobody who's doing well in their life wants to hang out with a person who's grumpy and bitter and thinks that just because nobody gave them a shot or they passed them over for no good reason. Like, nobody wants to be, or at least nobody successful, I should say. Nobody who's doing something really cool and productive with their lives can't even be around that. It's just so dissonant to what they are feeling and what they're vibing on in their life that you will just repel anything that positive could have come into your life away from you. So it's hard, but figuring out a way to go, okay, these are the challenging parts of this industry. It's definitely in the sync industry. Obviously, with Do Not Sync, lots of challenging parts of it. And I'm consciously avoiding trying to give the pep talk in these videos. Sometimes I can't help myself. I'm just sort of naturally wired optimistically and, empowering myself and hopefully trying to empower you guys for how you can navigate this industry in, cool, helpful ways. But I'm trying to literally pull myself away from that optimism with these videos and just say, nope, this is just the negativity. This is just the challenge. This is just the hardship. This is just how tough this business really is going to be for you guys. Because that's what I think needs to be injected a lot more into the internet, into the consciousness about sync licensing, especially with so many people learning about it. I have been sent so many different, videos and courses and people talking about sync. And I'm not trying to say that all of them are doing this, but I've seen more than a few hype up sync licensing, like literally talking about you're going to make $10,000 on your first sync placement. You're going to make $50,000. You're going to see 100. They're throwing out these numbers. They're hyping it up. They're selling the dream. And then, of course, there's like some course that you're going to buy as a result of this hype that you're up. And like, oh, okay, they're going to get me these huge sync fees. They're going to get me these huge opportunities. And it's just going to come. They're going to give me the secrets. And it's just going to happen for me. And it just bugs me so much when I see that kind of stuff, because I was once a young, naive musician and band, and I got hyped up on a company like that. I won't mention their name, but I got hyped up on a company that was basically like, you work with us and we'll get you a deal. Look at these other bands and artists and songwriters and producers we've gotten deals for. And this is basically how you can get your career started. And we're going to find you amazing opportunities. And I remember being just so like, wow, okay, so this is really how you get a career in the music industry. You just go sign up for some hyped up company, some hyped up service. And of course, nothing resulted from it. And nothing helpful came from that experience. And I see more than not, a lot of people educating and informing people about the music industry are offering stuff like that. And it drives me up the wall, because I have a lot of empathy for my younger self and for younger bands and younger producers and younger composers that really are trying to work hard. They understand, they have a work ethic. They understand it's not going to be easy, or they've got great talent. Maybe they're completely naive. They just got a lot of talent and they just want to figure out how do you get started with making some income with their music. And, to see them stumble into some of these things where, they're just being hyped up and they're not being fully prepared for it, they're just going to be set up for a lot of disappointment. And I've been talking to actually a few library owners recently about this, that they've seen this story from more than a few composers, specifically in sync licensing, where they got hyped up on the industry from somebody, thought it was going to be walking on easy street, huge placements, royalties were streaming in within a year, sync fees, huge consideration fees, all this stuff. They were hyped up on the dream, and then I got in and realized this is a grind. Not even so much realizing, they just got mad. Like, that's what happens, is they get mad, they get bitter, because they feel disappointed and they feel cheated and robbed, and they feel like, man, I was really just lied to about what this industry really is about. And then they get burned out on sync entirely, and they think the entire industry is a scam. They think libraries are a scam. They think production music libraries are a scam. They think BMI and ASCAP are a scam. There's some other elements to the PROs that we won't get into in this video, but they just literally write off all of our industry as just a bunch of BS. And it breaks my heart. It really sucks to see that, because it's not. Like, this industry isn't a scam. This isn't BS. This is a real possibility for a lot of people, but it's just not easy. And it's not something that's going to come quick. It's not going to be something that comes overnight. And it's definitely not going to come for somebody who is emotionally attached, like extremely emotionally attached to their music, or have an ego knob that's dialed up to 10, or somebody that expects results very quickly, or expects, probably unrealistic sync fees or something to pour into their bank account immediately within jumping into this industry. So I just get personally invested in that kind of a thing, because I don't want to, and that's what I've always been trying to keep my sort of North Star pointed, and have my kind of compass always kind of calibrated for what I'm doing here, is I want to be like, when I hear of especially a young person. I actually had a 22-year-old, I think it was just a YouTube subscriber. I don't think he was even signed up for Sync Academy or anything, but he's now going to be sailing across the world. He bought his own little, sailboat. And his royalties now are growing to the point where he can basically, he's got no kids. I don't think he's got a lot of expenses. And he's always had this romantic dream of living on a sailboat, sailing around the world and making music. And now, because of sync licensing, it's unlocked this dream life for himself at 22. And he sent me this email. He actually showed me a picture of his sailboat. I'll share it with you guys once we're done with Do Not Sync. And don't worry, once we're done with Do Not Sync, I'm going to overload you with positivity and excitement and possibilities with sync licensing. So don't worry, we're not going to just leave it on an empty or a negative note and then I'm out. Like, we're going to have some really, really great stuff. I've already been shooting them, actually, because I almost depressed myself making so much of this Do Not Sync stuff. But I'll share his email. I'll share his picture with you. We tried to get him as an interview, but he was already taken off. I think he was sailing, so he wasn't able to do it. And he's kind of living the sort of nomad life now, where he's just kind of going from port to port, and he doesn't really have a plan, but he knows as long as he can get an internet connection from time to time, and he's got a little, studio set up, I guess, on his boat. Hopefully I can get him for a video interview at some point, because I got to see what he's doing. That's the stuff that makes my heart just sing, because it's somebody who got the information correctly, figured out that this is going to be something that could be a possibility, but also wasn't being oversold on it, hyped up on it, thinking that it was going to be easy, thinking it was just going to be massive amounts of money just pouring in immediately. It was something that he knew was going to be a slow and steady tortoise versus the hare kind of approach. So I love that kind of stuff, and I want to keep hearing those kinds of stories. All right, G.R. Johnson, greetings. Still taking in these Do Not Sync vids. Been very busy keeping up my skills first, but due to your expert advice, I know without a doubt what's going on. Right on. Glad to hear that. Hey, Sean, there's quite a few out there trying to lure you into their program with all these promises. They leave out the other half of the truth, which is why I've hung here. You tell the full truth. Hats off. Right on, man. Yep. It's certainly something that happens, unfortunately. Yeah, thank you, GR. I appreciate that. Yeah, not blowing smoke. Um, because it's tricky, because like I think this is a really promising, amazing industry that you could do really, really well in. Very, very, very possible. And I think in many ways, much more possible than artists, like original artists putting music out online, for a variety of reasons. So I'm still very positive, very optimistic, still very much wanting you guys to, I want to share the excitement and the amazing possibilities of what this industry can bring, because it's what freed me up from the 9 to 5 world. I mean, I had some horrible, horrible, horrible day jobs. And just because I happened to stumble into meeting a library owner, luckily early on in my life, early on in my career, I was able to kind of dabble in this stuff to the point where I was like, wow, this is really providing me checks and contracts. Whereas everything else I was doing in the music industry, trying to sell beats to people, trying to hang out at studio sessions till 4 in the morning, all of that kind of stuff, collaborations, I tried everything. Like nothing was resulting in any income. And a lot of it I felt was me just trying to hang on to other people's coattails. Like, well, this is a really popular producer or artist that's in the studio. Let's just hang on and hang out for a couple of hours, and maybe we'll basically, I don't know, get some sort of success based on the fact that they're just around us. It was not a plan. It was not a business plan. It was not a sustainable plan. And when this stuff kind of came to me, where I was like, no, you can actually grow. You can actually build something here. You can build a catalog. You can build relationships. You can actually learn how to create music that's, you're not just stabbing and hoping like, is this a hit song? Is that a hit song? Oh, that's a hit song. And you're kind of getting high on your own supply all day long. This is much more realistic, where it's like people are telling you, this is what I want. This is what I need. Can you get this to us? And then if you give them the tracks, they give you some feedback and tell you, well, you're close, but you got to try something else. You got to try that, change this up, make some adjustments. And it's happening to this day, like literally right before I came on this live stream. I'm working with one of our library partners, one of my library partners, also one of the CEOs that was at Sync Up, and we're putting together some sports music for MLB, NHL, and a couple of other clients. And even to this day, it's like I've gone through, I think, 4 rounds of revisions with some of the tracks that we've been putting in their hands. And every time I get that, it's like these days I'm like excited, because I'm like, great, that means they're liking it. They just wanted to get it a little bit more adjusted so it's perfect for them. And now they were asking for us to smooth out a couple of parts, increase the BPM a couple of times, give them a couple of options too, a faster BPM and then a double tempo, like much faster BPM. And yeah, some people hear that and they think, gosh, this is annoying. Like I just want to make my original first piece of music and I want people to just love that as it is. With sync licensing, it just kind of knocks that out of you over and over and over again, because you really got to realize that you're here to service somebody. And because of that, I don't know if some of you guys caught, I posted it on LinkedIn. I also posted it in Sync Academy. I don't know if I posted, I think I did it on YouTube as well. But I was recently tracking my placements, and my placements have been exponentially increasing in the last couple of years. Like it's definitely been kind of an exponential curve that just sort of gets steeper and steeper and steeper as you get later and later into my career. And one of the main reasons for that is opportunities like this, where it's a lot of work, it's a lot of revisions, it's a lot of, hey, what do you guys need? How can we make your lives easier? We're getting feedback every single week from them. We're giving them new mixes, all that kind of stuff. But that's why my tracks now are getting crazy amounts of new placements, even though I've not been very active in my career in terms of putting out new music for the last like 3 years or so. I've been actually fairly slow. But that's kind of what I saw early on with sync licensing, is that it's doable. It's something that I can actually thrive in. I can see myself growing in. I don't have to play the sort of social media rat race game and trying to get a viral hit and having to shoot the video and having to do the lyric video and having to build the fan base. You guys know all the things that you have to do. It's just, you have to now, these days, if you want to put out music as an original artist, it's not good enough just to put out music. You've got to be a social media expert in a sort of sense. You have to be able to build a fan base. You have to be able to run probably some sort of a campaign or ad. So you got to learn all about that. You got to be able to put out your own music videos and self-direct them and maybe even self-edit them, putting out new shorts, getting into new platforms. It's like all the other tiny little skills that you have to have now to get any sort of attention with your music. It's taking so much time now and effort away from your actual music. So I don't know, sync licensing, a lot of times, especially when you work with production music libraries, which was my path was and what I coach you guys to do, it kind of frees you up from almost all of that. Now, of course, with AI, we do have to be a little bit more on social media. I don't think we have to do a lot, but we definitely need to be a little bit more human, a little bit more like we're thinking of ourselves as an artist managing a brand online. So there is a little bit more of that is going to be creeping into our worlds, I think, if we want to remain relevant. But you don't have to run an ad campaign. You don't have to build a fan base. You don't have to constantly be putting out new emails to your fans and, constantly creating all this stuff. And obviously music videos and lyric videos and all the stuff that artists are doing. So you can kind of like let go of all that stuff. I know some of that can be fun, but if really it's about making music and composing music and staying true to the thing that you've really just been excited about from day one, then this is really, I think, one of the best ways, one of the most appropriate ways and the most achievable ways to do some great things with your music, earn some decent income with your talents. So, I'm 100% pro sync licensing. I still think it's an amazing thing, but I want to make people have just their eyes wide open before they get started. So, but anyways, sounds like you guys are still hanging in there, so that's good to hear. Arco, hey, glad you joined us. Glad you guys could make it. I'm just going to hop off here. I just wanted to say hi. Again, checking in from time to time, making sure you guys are doing okay. You're not fully horribly depressed and bummed out as a result of these videos. I don't think that's really what's happening. But I do think that a few people have decided, or they're thinking about maybe downsizing their sync focus. And I think that's a really good thing, because I think there's too many people that are probably taking too much of their time and energy and money and dedication to something that might not be something they should focus a lot on. And hopefully these videos can help you guys, or those of you that are in that camp, decide that this is maybe not the right fit for y'all. So you guys have a great, fantastic day. Get back to whatever you're doing, working at your job, making music, staying home, whatever it is. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your afternoon, and I'll check in with you guys soon. We got another video coming tomorrow, and then we'll have another one on Friday, and we're coming down to the end of it. I think next week, I think we'll have the remaining 3, and then we will be done with Do Not Sync, and we'll have some positive stuff that we'll come back to. So hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll talk to you all very soon.